Welcome to this explainer. Today we're tackling the literal building blocks of expression. We're talking vocabulary, phrasal verbs, and idioms. Let's just dive right in. Tell me if this sounds familiar. Have you ever been just completely at a loss for words trying to describe a uniquely frustrating situation? You're trying to explain a feeling or an event, and the basic words you have just aren't cutting it. Well, that exact moment of frustration is exactly why mastering these linguistic building blocks is absolutely crucial. When we finally get the right words, our communication becomes precise, colorful, and honestly, effortless. All right, building block one, one-word substitutes. These are powerful, highly targeted nouns and adjectives that replace clunky phrases. Why use 10 words when one perfectly chosen word does the job even better? Let's check out some fantastic examples straight from our source material. So, imagine a government deciding to completely forgive a group of people for past offenses to promote rehabilitation. What do you actually call that official pardon? The word is amnesty. It's such a heavy, powerful word, right? So instead of dragging it out and saying the government gave an official pardon for offenders, you just say they announced amnesty for minor offenders. Bam. It's concise and deeply impactful. Next up, how would you describe an approach to business that's focused entirely on profit with zero consideration for ethics? You wouldn't just call that a mistake. You'd call it amoral. Amoral literally means lacking a sense of right and wrong altogether. As our source highlights, a huge scandal might expose an amoral approach focused strictly on profit. It's a hyper-precise word that describes a very specific, kind of chilling lack of ethics. Okay, let's briefly shift gears to the natural world. What do we call animals that live both on land and in water? Yep, amphibians. But look, we aren't just learning this for a biology test. Being able to use this term effectively helps us communicate much larger concepts. Knowing this word lets us clearly articulate that, say, the decline of amphibians signals a massive environmental imbalance. For our fourth one-word substitute, what do you call someone who actively opposes all forms of government? That person is an anarchist. Now, you definitely wouldn't want to confuse this with someone who just disagrees with a specific policy. And as our source material humorously points out, you really wouldn't want an anarchist disrupting a peaceful protest. So, amnesty, amoral, amphibians, and anarchist. Notice how these four foundational words efficiently replace those much longer definitions? Got it? Awesome. Now let's transition from these static words into some more dynamic actions. Moving on to building block 2, actions and phrasal verbs. Now, if you've ever studied English, you already know phrasal verbs can be seriously tricky. Why? Because adding a single tiny preposition changes literally everything. Let's break this down. Take the base verb give. If you add the word out, you get give out, which just means to distribute. For example, you might earn some extra cash by giving out brochures on the street. But change that preposition to up, and you get give up, which means to surrender something. That is a stark contrast. The source gives the perfect example here, a police officer telling a thief to give his gun up. One tiny word completely changes a friendly distribution into a tense surrender. We can do the exact same thing with the verb go. Go away means to leave. Imagine stepping outside and yelling at some stray dogs to make them go away. But swap away for back, and you've got go back, meaning to return, as in asking a friend, hey, when are you going back to your house? The core action, moving, is the same, but the direction and the intent completely flipped by that second word. Seeing these comparisons side by side, give out versus give up, go away versus go back, it shows you exactly how these dynamic blocks build the core structure of our sentence. Honestly, mastering these is the secret sauce to making your communication sound totally natural and fluid. All right, building block 3, expressing gloom through idioms. Because we don't just walk around saying, I'm sad. We use idioms to really paint a picture of our gloom. Let's set the stage here with a quick little story. Imagine waking up late. You run to the kitchen only to immediately drop your morning coffee all over the floor. You rush outside and boom, you have a flat tire. Then you realize you've completely lost your wallet. All in one morning. Absolutely nothing is going right. So how do we express the complex feelings of a disastrous day like this? Well, first, looking down at that ruined coffee, you might remind yourself of our first idiom, cry over spilt milk. This simply means to be upset over something that cannot be undone. Logically, you know you shouldn't cry over spilt milk, right? because the event is in the past and the coffee is already a puddle on the floor. But let's be honest, it's completely human to still feel upset about it anyway. Okay, so the flat tire and the lost wallet happened next, and now you are officially down in the dumps. This is the perfect evocative phrase to find in our source material as feeling sad or depressed. It just perfectly captures that heavy, slumping posture you get when it feels like the entire world is conspiring against you. You aren't just sad anymore, you are down in the dumps. Now, if down in the dumps feels a little too casual, you might say you are in the doldrums. This originally referred to a region of the ocean with zero wind, where sailing ships would just get totally stuck. It's a beautifully vivid way to express that you're feeling completely stuck and totally uninspired to tackle your day. But sometimes, a terrible day actually takes a physical toll on you. And that brings us to under the weather. This is an absolute classic. It's a universally understood way to explain that you feel physically unwell or just deeply sad. If you call your boss after the coffee, the tire, and the wallet incident, you might just tell them you're feeling a bit under the weather and need to stay home. Finally, let's dramatically introduce the most intense idiom on our list: a shadow of your former self. You use this when that exceptionally bad day leaves you feeling completely, utterly drained of your usual vibrant energy. You feel much weaker, sadder, or way less energetic than before. You are literally no longer your full self. The stress of the day has reduced you to a mere shadow. Look at how beautifully these idioms cluster around a single theme. By grouping them around the concept of feeling unwell, sad, or regretful, it really cements the knowledge in your brain. Thematic clustering helps us effortlessly remember these complex phrases because they're all tied to the exact same emotional memory. So we've built our vocabulary up from single words, connected them with dynamic verbs, and painted vivid pictures using emotional idioms. But ask yourself this: does having the exact right words to describe a terrible day actually make it a little easier to endure? I think so. The next time the world throws you a flat tire, don't just get mad, get expressive. Keep building your language, and I'll see you in the next explainer.